evening, sim racing fans, and tonight under the lights we are at the Lady in Black. It's time for one of the toughest tracks on the iRacing schedule. Welcome in everyone to the Cooks Landscaping 125 presented by NCC811.org, live from the historic Darlington Raceway right here on Stamm Studio Network. Darlington is a track that demands respect. It demands that narrow racing groove, unforgiving walls, as well as a surface that chews up tires lap after lap after lap. We're going to see some tire fall off out here lap after lap after lap tonight. Before we go any further, tonight actually marks my 500th broadcast ever out here on Stamm Studio Network. So welcome in, I appreciate it. It's been an incredible journey out here to get here. There's no better place out here than to hit that milestone with the Stamm Studio Network Truck Series. Now moving on to some point standings before virtual trackside action. Oh, also real quick, happy late birthday to Terry out there in YouTube land. She's out there with us every single broadcast, Stamm Studio Network. Thank you all so much out there. You do behind the scenes as well out there, Terry. Charlie Widener, Bobby Blair, and Josh Murphy, 1, 2, 3 in the point standings. Bobby Blair fresh off of his race win 1 week ago. I would like to add a little bit of an asterisk next to that though, as Michael Melfelt Jr., who comes into this race 6th in the point standings, had that race won until it was ruled that actually had to serve a black flag penalty on one of the last 2 restarts of the race, and that win did not count for Michael Melfelt. In the hands for Bobby Blair there. 1 win on the season last week from Iowa. Jensen Case, Tony Benfield, Michael Melfelt Jr., just talked about him. That's 4th, 5th, 6th. TJ Zachary was up there in the point standings, but actually dropped 5 positions since last week. I actually don't think he was able to make it out there with us. Daniel Higgins, Zach Monday, Timothy Blankenbeckler. That's 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th, rounding out the top 10 in our points standings. Now, already mentioned it here earlier on, but thank you so much for NC11.org and Cooks Landscaping. Come out here and sponsoring out today in the Stamm Studio Network Truck Series. This race in Darlington, we're working with a 37-lap stage break, a 92-lap race. We're going to have 4 tire sets available, 40% fuel, and 1 fast repair. We'll take a look and see who's rocking and rolling, who was fastest in our qualifying efforts. Here's our starting grid, brought to you by Cooks Landscaping, out there, I believe, in the North Carolina region. It's the man, the myth, the legend, the man who actually sponsored the race tonight and stepped up to it. It's Stony Benfield who slaps it on the pole. Number 97 slapped down a 29.397 lap time. Scott Patton also just 7,000th of a second behind our pole sitter. He'll start P2. Charlie Widener, TJ Zachary, that's row 2. Tim Blankenbeckler and Heath Smith, that's row 3. Kyle Ricketts, Daniel Higgins, Tyler Price, Josh Murphy, Neil Lapidus after 2 race suspension back out there on the sim racing track. He'll start P11. That is league owner. Nate Mendoza also starting P12. Starting 13, it belongs to the one, the only Michael Ritz, as well as Ricardo Keno in 14th position out of Buenos Aires, Argentina. Frank Ranger Jr. starting 15th in his number 17, 1.2 seconds back behind our qualifying effort from our pole sitter, Stony Benfield. Zach Monday out of PM3 Motorsports, he'll start P16 in his number 3 Chevrolet Silverado. Mike Melfelt, the man who has been on a mission this season, he'll have to start P17. Craig Schmidt starts P18. Thank you all so much for joining in here tonight. This Cooks Landscaping presented by NC811.org. Make sure you call 811 before you dig, no matter where you are at here up here within the United States here of America, but especially up there in the North Carolina. Make sure you hit up NC811.org as well. Thank you all so much for joining in, as well as this is the 500th ever Stamm Studio Network broadcast. It's, as I said earlier in the free race, I couldn't wish to be at a better place out here to do it in the Stamm Studio Network Truck Series Midwest Elite Racing. Let's get Darlington underway. It's the Lady in Black. A little bit of throwback weekend. See some throwback paint schemes there out there on them. Scott Patton, Stony Benfield, our pole sitter. Lead them down into turn 1. Green flag is out. Scott Patton actually clears Stony Benfield out there for the race lead. Pole sitter falls back to P2. Scott Patton with that outside race line. That's something that we'll have to talk about once, twice, thrice within these restart scenarios. Here we go, already looking single file for the race lead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. breakaway till about 12 to 13, 14 like that. Charlie Weiner still sitting P3. Charlie, what a season it's been. This is our points season, our points standings leader coming into the race up there. Nice start to the race, continuing to run exactly as started. Here is the hurricane, if you will. This is where the storm is starting to brew. You got the Kyle Ricketts machine, the driver of the 09, that Liam Strong Chevrolet Silverado. Up and in front of him, Tim Blankenbeckler, as well as Neil Lapidus back behind the wheel. He's rocking and rolling a throwback paint scheme tonight is Neil. The Hardy's number 26. These are going to be the fastest lap start of this stint because these tires just going to continue to wear lap after lap after lap. Whoa, as we hang on board here with Neil Lapidus, he's saved that thing once or twice out there coming out of turn number 4. That allows Josh Murphy and Nate Mendoza on by, sets Neil back into P11, but at least he's still turning laps. Very risky start here to the race. Very scary start here for quite a few drivers. But we're still rocking. We're still rolling. Keeping things green flag running. We only have a 37-lap stage for stage 1 of the race. And Stoney Benfield's already trying to close that gap out back to the race lead in that new Ram Stamm Studio Network truck. This time we're going into 3 and 4. Here comes Stoney. Knocking all over that rear bumper. Scott Patton still clear by about a truck, or about a truck length and a half on back. Excuse me, in front. And I'm seeing a driver go around right now. Oh, it's Ricardo Keno and his Bucky's number 25 Ford F-150 machine. Since this is not 3 or more trucks involved, we will keep this running green flag racing. Back out here to our closest battle on track, it's Kyle Ricketts, Tim Blankenbeckler. Blankenbeckler also in a nice throwback paint scheme. Kodak, what is that there on the hood? I couldn't quite see it up there in the turn 4. He's got his Kodak, he's trying to reel his film in up there, and that is Kyle Ricketts, but Ricketts showing a nice start to the race, at least with a short run speed in that number 09. Back to the race lead once again, Scott Patton in the Stone River, kind of, what is that, a Dick Trickle throwback. Scott, excuse me, he's right and trying to hold off all over Stoney Benfield, but here comes Stoney Benfield, a nice run on the exit of turn number 4. Look at Charlie Whiter just waiting in the depth right there right as well. Charlie Weiner doing everything he can to keep that first and second battle up within his sights. You also have TJ Zachary, nice start to the race, as well as Heath Smith. That runs 4th and 5th. 1, 2, 3, also in the same camera shot right here. Scott Patton, we saw him clear Stoney Benfield to the race lead, but Stoney is he's having something to say about it as he starts to get ever so closer. So take a look at some last lap history, and already we will start to see these lap times fall off here just a little bit. Look at lap 6 compared to 7, already about a half of a hundredth slower out there for Scott Patton's lap times as you continue to see Benfield close that gap for the race lead. So those of you that had tuned into the real-life Truck Series race last night, as well as the O'Reilly Auto Parts race that just happened right here before this one, the tire preservation will be the name of the game, as well as, oh man, here comes Stoney Benfield. I am wondering if he's trying to save a little bit of right front, right rear earlier on in the run, as now he's going to try to be careful on this slide up here as we're sliding through each and every corner from Darlington Raceway. These 4 corners, like you saw on the racetrack, all couldn't be more separate than one another. There you see 95 look down the inside. Contact! There goes Stoney Benfield after TJ Zachary, I think, turned him. Stoney goes around after oh no. After sponsoring this race and that Cook's Landscaping. Call 811 before you dig, especially nc811.org. That makes me a little scared because there's something going on up there in the Discord chats that's sponsoring a race. It's kind of it's unlucky, if you will, and I don't think that was necessarily unlucky. I think that was 2 trucks on kind of the same bit of real estate, if not 3 trucks out here. Here's the slide job. I think all kind of gone wrong. 95 contact up there with Stoney, and then there's TJ Zachary with just nowhere to go. Oh, is that the number 1 of Daniel Higgins in a new paint scheme this weekend? God, he's got that Oregon duck paint scheme also kind of ruffled up as well. Let's hang on board here with Stony Benfield and kind of see what this is. Well, it's heavy contact is what he felt, and then just around he gets sent. Have to take another look at it here. So here's the side-by-side going into the corner. You see, you can't fault Charlie Widener here at all, and I don't even think he was trying to make a slide job happen. I think he's just trying to look down into the inside, just a slight bit of just beat a bank, and then there's the boonk with TJ Zachary, ultimately ending it all there for Stony Benfield. I say ending it all, though. It doesn't look like necessarily too much damage for all of these drivers involved, as I say that, Stony Benfield is, Daniel Higgins is digging in that rear end of Stony Benfield. Pause. Here's going to be another nice look at it here. Well, an okay look at it. We'll get into these live pit stops out here. Well, actually, it's the race off pit road. Scott Patton leads them all off. Charlie Weiner runs P2. Actually, Daniel Higgins, nice pit stop for him. I said that was Daniel involved. I take that all back. That was another driver in a #1 paint scheme, but Daniel Higgins running that Monster Energy #1. Daniel Higgins, he'll miss that wreck. He will restart here in the 4th position. Tim Blankenbeckler, Nate Mendoza, Mike Milfeld, Kyle Ricketts, Neil Lapidus, and Michael Ritz rounding at the top 10. Here's another look at Ricardo Cano's incident. This is about 5 laps down in the race. Oh man, Frank Ranger Jr., he kind of overcorrects it into the wall. Then there goes Ricardo Cano spinning it off of turn 4. What in the name? This was not the cause of the caution, but it was about 10 laps before it. It almost looked like, if we hop on board with Frank Ranger Jr. and that Ranger Creative Concepts Chevrolet Camaro, actually not Camaro, Silverado, it almost looked like he started to get loose with it there and just did not want to correct it into Ricardo Cano and just opted to correct it into the outside wall. You see Mike Milfeld up there right in front of this battle. And that's how Frank Ranger Jr. gets his damage. You see bottom of your screen, that's how Ricardo Cano goes around. All right, we should be getting side by side this time by. Welcome in if you're just now joining us to the Cook's Landscaping 125 presented by NC811.org. Make sure you call 811 before you dig, and that goes throughout nationwide. 500th ever broadcast out here on Stamm Studio Network. Happy late birthday to the one, the only Terry Stamm herself. We got Leanne, we got Ted, we got Get Some, as well as Terry down there in YouTube land joining us. We are side by side through the pack. Let's get ready to get back going, Green Flag Racing. Real quick, thank you all. 800 views of last week's race at Iowa Speedway. Let's double down here this weekend. It's only first caution down. 125 laps on this race, only 25 left in this stage. 14 down in the race. Josh Murphy to the race lead. Number 88, Red Bull Racing, leading them off into turn number 1. Here they come at a turn number 2. 1, 2, 3, 4 single file. It's out till Mike Milfeld up there, up and all ready to P6. Remember, Mike Milfeld started back there in what was the ultimate, one of the last positions of the race. 155, looking down the inside of Nate Mendoza. This is going to be tight down there on the exit of 4. He's trying to get that throttle pedal down, but it's so hard to do it, especially with a truck to your outside. Nate Mendoza, door quarter, not quite clear going up into 1. Oh, Spark's going to fly at that right rear quarter panel, as here comes Tim Blankenbeckler looking to join, Tim Blankenbeckler in front of this battle. Mike Milfeld and Nate Mendoza looking to try to get up at the 10th spot in that top 5 position. Here's Nate Mendoza. Here's the Kyle Ricketts red Chevrolet Silverado, red, white, blue machine looking to join the battle as well. Looks like Mike Milfeld with his 2,800 oval I rating will slice dice, work his way up into the P6. That is 11 spots gained since the drop of the green flag at that 155. Obviously, last race weekend, the race win that slipped away out there at Iowa Speedway for Mike after having to serve a late race penalty for what was green white checkered conditions. Josh Murphy, Scott Patton, they're starting to look a little bit of side by side on their side. We're going door to door for the race lead. Back and into turn one we go. It's now now for P2 between Josh Murphy and Charlie Widener. Scott Patton is saying, get me out of there, get me going after clearing Josh Murphy going into the race lead. Josh is stayed out on older tires right now, so ultimately that was the gap right there that you saw between old and new tires. Josh Murphy's got Charlie Widener all over his rear bumper, as well as Daniel Higgins. Daniel Higgins has a nice run going for him tonight here at Darlington Raceway. The lady in black, 8th within the point standings. Rock and rolling right there, 4th right now after he's hopefully not got his popcorn bucket out, but got his driving belts tight. It's going to take you every single lap around this 1.3 mile raceway. You are begging for grip, you're begging for mercy, you're losing grip, you're losing mercy lap after lap, as well as there just to see Mike Milfeld. You do not want to do that. You cannot make that right rear tire angry as we hop on board with Mike Milfeld. Here's kind of a little bit of slide job up in front of Kyle Ricketts to solidify that 6th running position. 19 laps to go left in the stage. We will see tire wear up here with this whole pack. And talk about the whole pack. Scott Patton continues to run laps within the lead, but already about 3 to 4 tenths of a second slower than his fastest laps of the night. Stoney Benfield, after a little bit of contact on his side, that Cook's Landscaping call 811 before you dig. Ram Machine, number 97. He's fallen back into P14, but this quite isn't the end of the race here, just of him. If you take a look at the track map on the top right of your screen, Stoney Benfield is running in that lime green, number 14, just now making his way out of the exit of 4. About the same straightaway and a half than our race leader. So all Stoney needs to do right here is just not go one lap down, and within these next 17 laps, which he definitely has the pace not to go one lap down. Stoney, we appreciate you coming on board, sponsoring this race here with us. This little bit of cosmetic damage on that left rear door, left door. We're going to get them all scrunched and bunched up here in about 16 more laps for that Frets for Pets stage break. Nice battle up here, still up in between Josh Murphy with those older tires. I don't know how he's making this work. I thought we would see him. Bob Singer, fall like a rock. But no, Josh Murphy is holding them off right now. But of course, as soon as I say it, well, the Charlotte Taylor curse is going to have to strike. Here comes Charlie Widener. Door looking on the inside, clear for a moment. Not going to slide it back up. It is so tight. Running that inside line, it's risky as well because you're fighting that wheel like hell not to slide up and into that truck up in front of you, or excuse me, outside of you, just as we saw a couple of laps ago for our one and only caution thus far. Charlie Widener, he works his way back up to P2, points leader. Bobby Blair, after coming away with the race win from last race weekend at Iowa Speedway. Bobby sits. Bobby Blair. I thought I saw him out in practice, but I am not seeing Bobby out here racing with us this race weekend. Josh Murphy is our 1, 2, 3 in our point standing. Jensen Case and Stoney Benfield run 4th and 5th. Hopping on board now with Tim Blankenbeckler. And let's take a lap or two out here with Tim. Listen into these throttle pedal inputs as well as watch his hands go to work. That's pretty special out there for Tim, because I know that he's racing in VR as well, so he's doing everything he can to keep his truck and up and underneath of him. And now that Josh Murphy pits with 12 laps to go in the stage, this is not what you want to see if you're a fan of the 88. Josh Murphy is in right before that stage caution. He's going to have to go at least a lap or two down. Not sure exactly why. I mean, this could be a fuel run strategy, excuse me, tire run strategy. Is I think tires are going to be the main breaking point out here tonight. But back out there to Tim Lincoln, back there in our onboard shot with him, we were seeing his hands go to work. We were seeing that, we were hearing the throttle pedal application as well. And man, oh man, it has been working out there for Tim. Up third running position after starting P5. This is the toughest track on the schedule, no matter, I mean, at least to me, I think a few drivers that I've talked to as well up here, this Midwest Racing Stamm Studio Network Truck Series. It is so tough. You add in that tire wear as well, and it just continues to fight you. Talk about fight you. Here comes Kyle Ricketts back around the inside. I've continued to watch him as well as in the background of this camera shot, the number 27 of Michael Ritz. I think I actually misspoke earlier in the broadcast, called the 27. Different driver, but regardless there, Michael Ritz has had a nice start to his race, as well as continuing to just methodically working his way down and up through the pack right now. Number 27, red, white, and blue, or red, black, and blue, I guess you call it, a little bit of white there as well. Got Daniel Higgins, Mike Milfeld up and in front of him. After starting P13, he's trying to get back and around Daniels Higgins inside. He is clear. That's now Michael Ritz up to 6th position with 9 laps to go left in the stage. We only run 2 stages within the Stamm Studio Network Truck Series, so keep your eye on Michael Ritz to have even more long run speed as we continue to work our way longer and longer within these runs. Ricketts trying to make something happen there. It's unfortunately sewed out there for the 88 of Josh Murphy. Remember, we did see that, well, that's exactly what happened. The last time that Josh Murphy pit was not under yellow flag conditions, and him being the only driver that did stay out. It was with this 40% fuel run that we're running. It's that there's not a lot in the tank, so unfortunately it didn't look like Josh had to make that stop before the competition. Gosh, about 8 laps time. Still seeing a nice battle out here, and oh, we're starting to see some leaning on each other. Charlie Wider gets turned from a, oh, does he keep it rolling? He does. I think Charlie had contact out there. A Frank Ranger Jr. going backing up and across the stripe there. Charlie's going to keep it rolling. Oh, now Daniel Higgins almost contact out there with Heath Smith as they try to work around that number 17 machine. Will look 3 wide on the exit of turn number 2. There goes, is that Heath Smith, that Oregon Duck Paint scheme? That's Heath Smith. Wonder if he took his fast repair earlier on in the race, or just got all that damage repaired in that Oregon Duck Paint scheme. TJ Zachary continuing to run P8, newer Animal Racing paint scheme this race weekend, I believe it is. He's got all the race sponsors out there on that rear panel as well. Here's a real quick look to see what happened to Charlie Widener as he had pretty heavy contact with that outside safety barrier. Contact out there once, twice, thrice. That's ended up what's sending Charlie, boom. Oh man, it could have been worse, but that is going to ruin all the speed pace that he had, at least coming within these last laps to go. Scott Patton still leads with that last laps to go, but here comes Mike Milfeld after a whole stage of, I mean, just working his way down and through town. Mike Milfeld, Federated Auto Parts Machine. Toyota Tundra is now clear for the race lead. You got to imagine that 155 is coming in this race we're with just a little bit of something on his shoulder. This NC811.org Cooks Landscaping 125 out here from Darlington. He's looking to maybe show a little bit of what he had out there late out of a last race at Iowa Speedway. Looking at what would been double downing after the Stamm Studio Network Truck Series. Mike Milfeld already clear. 16 spots gained since the drop of the green. Scott Patton, he'll fall back to P3. And that final driver interview position, that's, what is that, a cold trickle? It's a trickle paint scheme out there. I love these drivers that have actually dedicated their paint schemes as well. These final, these throwback paint schemes out here at Darlington Raceway, just as Darlington doesn't even require it. Of course, the Midwest Elite Racing League doesn't require it as well, but it's nice to see that drivers kind of get back into that throwback groove. Neil Lapidus out there as well, running his throwback paint scheme. Oh man, Daniel Higgins to get loose and goose out there, turn number 2. Mike Milfelt is in pit lane with 3 to 2 laps to go. So is Tim Blankenbeckler, so is Kyle Ricketts, Heath Smith, TJ Zach, the whole pack except for right now Scott Patton and Neil Lapidus. 2 laps to go left in the stage. They are making that call now because the pits close next lap by, I do believe. It's going to be Scott Patton who tries to squeeze 1 lap out here within his fuel tank. Remember, oh, he is kicked in the clutch. Scott is trying to roll around this racetrack, this 1.3 mile raceway with 2 miles. He's got an 8-second gap over Neil Lapidus. Can he make this work? This time 1 more lap to go. Looking for a stage win for the Frets for Pets stage caution. And just 1.3 miles. Neil Lapidus, kind of same strategy there. He is crawling across this track. So is Charlie Widener. Craig Schmidt also trying to make this same sort of strategy call. Stony Binfield is in. He did not have enough fuel to make this happen. Let's hop back on board with the race leader, Scott Patton, coming out through 3 and 4, running at only 100 miles an hour. Dumps the clutch and kicks it right back in it. Comes out of turn number 4 to complete. Oh, he spins it! No! Scott Patton spins coming out of turn number 4 to complete the Frets for Pets stage yellow. No, no, no. Oh, my goodness gracious. Well, that changes everything. Is now Neil Lapidus up there. He's shown P2. Charlie Widener now shown P3, 5.8 seconds back. Craig Schmidt, Josh Murphy, the top 5. What a change of events. What just happened to Scott out of the extra 3? That's not it. There he is. Oh, he gets tagged. He didn't turn it, he didn't spin it, he didn't lose, I mean, he did lose traction, but it wasn't of his doing. I think that was contact with Josh Murphy. I think Josh was doing all that he could do to try to unlap himself right there, and just, there you see the sparks fly, contact out there with them. You can't fault Josh at all out there after he's trying to get up to the start-finish line before the 46, and he did that. Scott Patton still credited with the race, with the stage break race win. Wow. What a, oh my gracious. Here's a 3D movie look at it here. Out of the corner, look at new tires versus old. Look at old, out of fuel as well. Oh! Alrighty, we're going to take a quick break out here on Stamm Studio Network. Don't go anywhere as we take a quick Frets for Pets pause. Thanks, everybody. Welcome back into the Cook's Landscaping 125, the NC811.org here on Stamm Studio Network. Thank you all out here for joining in. Sean Stamm producing, directing, commentating the show. Josh Murphy, Scott Patton, Charlie Widener, 1, 2, 3, Craig Schmidt, Neil Lapidus, Mike Milfelt, 4th, 5th, 6th. Well, that changes everything coming towards that competition caution. And actually, I take that back. That might actually not change as much as I thought it would, because after Scott Patton is credited with the stage break race win, Scott is going to be able to take that fast repair that we do have. If you're just now joining us, welcome in, first of all. And we have, this is our stage break, Frets for Pets stage break. We have 4 tire sets. Most of these drivers are already going to 1, if not 2 sets. 40% fuel and 1 fast repair. And that fast repair just saved Stony Binfield's race, if not championship hopes out here. I mean, we continue to crest our way throughout these battles as well as throughout the season. But that Stone River Outfitters, number 46, after sliding across the stripe, credited with the stage break, with the Frets for Pets stage break race win. One more look at it here as he's crawling pace. Here's Josh Murphy out there right and around, just trying to unlap himself. And I think Josh Murphy actually did that, so it's best of both worlds. At least I'm showing real quick. Josh Murphy getting to unlap himself right at the stripe, as well as Scott Patton getting that, Scott Patton getting that stage break race win. Let's go through the field here real quick. We were talking about Scott Patton. He's running P1. He'll restart P1. Craig Schmidt out of Schmidt Esports. He sponsored last week's race out of Iowa. And Schmidt Esports appreciates you out there for coming on board, sponsoring with it, as well as each and every single one of you in YouTube land. 800 views just from last week's race. Neil Lapidus, he'll start P2 in his throwback RD forward F-150 Stamm Studio Network truck. Josh Murphy, he'll start P number 4, as well as Tim Blankenbeckler starting P5. Heath Smith, that Oregon Ducks paint scheme, shown up there in timing and scorings as the truck number 2, as well as shown up there the paint schemes truck number 1. Heath Smith also having a nice race for him so far. Charlie Widener, he'll drop back and into P6. Mike Milfelt will restart P7. Frank Ranger Jr. P8, Kyle Ricketts P9, Stoney Benfield, TJ Zachary, Nate Mendoza, Daniel Higgins. Those are our top 14 lead lap drivers. Michael Rich, Ricardo Cano, Tyler Price, Zach Monday rounding out the rest of the field. Let's get going back to green flag racing out here. The lady in black. Holy, nobody out on the outside line. It's all on the inside line. Lots of drivers trying to stretch their fuel tanks on this second stage. 51 laps to go. Green flag. Scott Patton leads them by a mile in 1 and 2. Side by side up there for it was Craig Schmidt, Tim Blankenbeckler. Now that you see Frank Ranger Jr. make a little bit of contact with that outside wall. It's now, oh, here comes Ricardo Cano. Ricardo Cano showing 1 lap down right now after, oh, Josh Murphy back into the pits as well. What is going on? All right, we'll get back up here with the battle between 5th and 6th. Here comes Heath Smith and Charlie Widener into 1 and 2. Charlie gonna look down the inside. You see the flames fly of that right rear exhaust pipe. That shows you how aggressive Charlie was on the lifting of his throttle pedal out there. The burn, the unexcess fuel out there continuing to throw flames at that exhaust pipe. Heath Smith, he'll drop back down to P6. Mike Milfelt up into P7. Keep an eye on the Federated Auto Parts Toyota Tundra. 155, fastest driver in practice. Rocked, rolled, made his way up and into race leading positions. 155 continuing to put Heath Smith down to P6 right now. Whoa! Ricardo Cano goes for a little bit of slip and slide. Can he save it? He does! The Buc-ee's 25 F-150 keeps it rocking, keeps it rolling. House is a rocket for Ricardo Cano in his hands. Let's see if we get off on board here with Ricardo. And speaking of the hands, watch his hands go to work right here. We've got a car down the inside. That's Daniel Higgins. Oh, he's going to smack it on the outside wall. Start to lose it. Send it to the right up there. Way to go, Ricardo. Nice move. Oh, I mean, ultimately not. He's going to lose position doing it, though. Oh, as we cut back into live racing coverage, here comes Frank Ranger Jr. He's going to get a little bit more friendly with that outside wall. Michael Ritz is also, TJ Zachary a little bit close to that battle as well. Nate Mendoza. I think this is the first time that we mentioned Nate Mendoza's, actually the second or third time that we mentioned Nate Mendoza's tonight. Nate is having himself a nice night running up to the top 10 position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th Toyota Tundra on the track. Continuing to run up in front of Daniel Higgins. Can Daniel Higgins trying to make this move happen? No, Daniel's going to lift a little bit earlier, try to get that inside line rolling. He's going to slide a little bit up there in corner exit is Daniel Higgins. 46 laps left within this station. We have a long way to go, a long time to get there. These drivers all are going to do what they say can't be done. Real quick, before we get a little bit too tight to the nitty and the gritty, enjoy some Crank It Up out here on Stamm Studio Network. Sights and sound down here from the lady in black. Alrighty, welcome back here to Stamm Studio Network. I apologize there. Apparently my mic was muted for this last couple minutes. We haven't missed much out there though, as we just joining out that last race caution. You saw the couple of race replays that we saw from Ricardo Cano and the driver of the 17 of Frank Ranger Jr. And as I was just trying to say out there before my mic was, I don't know how it got muted, but Ricardo Cano, it's like a slight pinball effect out there, and it sent him up and then right back down and into the track, and unfortunately in Ricardo Cano's hands. All right, so this time we'll get side by side. I hope that wasn't for long. I'm real quick. I need to see how long for that was. Well, that's nice. At least you all enjoyed a extended crank it up section, we'll call it, up there. Okay, so now with this race restart, as far as strategy goes, Neil Lapidus, Scott Patton run 1-2, Charlie Widener and Mike Melfelt run 3-4. Tim Blankenbeckler, Craig Schmidt, Heath Smith, Stoney Benfield, that's the top 8. And everybody from the 8 on back are shown 1 lap down as we get back to green flag racing out here in the Lady in Black. Look at Scott Patton, as we've seen, race restart after race restart, jump out and shoot out of a cannon. Here comes Charlie Widener, and here comes Mike Milfeld trying to follow in suit. It's side by side. Here comes Heath Smith and Neil Lapidus going side by side. Charlie not able to close that gap. Heath Smith starting a little bit closer and closer and closer to Tim Blankenbeckler's rear bumper there. Neil Lapidus will fall back into the P6 after this is the strategy calls. Everybody last pit on lap 55, but Scott Patton actually not opting to take any Goodyear Racing Eagles, just filling that thing up with some more race fuel there. Charlie Weiner did take some for Sunoco Racing, Goodyear Racing Eagles, and he's continuing to reel in Scott Patton's rear bumper. Driver with 4,900 oval eye rating. That's Scott Patton going up against Charlie Weiner. Charlie's trying to reel him in with 2,600 oval eye rating. And just as I mentioned earlier, or as I was trying to mention earlier, and the mic was sadly muted, Mike Milfeld, who continues to work his way, just as we saw last week from Iowa Speedway, and unfortunately did not get that win. That was probably well-deserved out there after having to serve a late race penalty. Mike Milfeld all the way up and into P3 already. Here comes Scott Patton, here comes Charlie Weiner. Charlie's trying to do everything he can to slowly close that gap. It's got to about 0.2 of a second back. Charlie, that number 85. Remember, he got wrecked from earlier on. Battles for the race lead. As now Charlie, he gets tight and loose. He gets loose on turn number 2, and that allows, there you see it, Mike Milfeld says, thank you very much. If the house is a rocket, don't bother knocking. Come on in. Mike Milfeld up to P2. After surpassing Charlie Widener within the corners there, Scott Patton continuing to lead, but for how long? Scott Patton has led 53 laps tonight out of our 62, but here comes Mike Milfeld. It's a little bit of long run, short run speed within the 155 versus the 46. This is a tight, tough pass though. Trying to look down the inside of Mike Milfeld. He's gonna be just barely clear. He slides up in front of Charlie as well as Scott. Mike Milfeld clear for the race lead, but here comes Charlie Widener back for P2. This is big right now, not only for Charlie Widener up and into P2, but as well as for the 46 to drop back into P3. After Scott Patton starts P2, we have continued to see time and time tonight, the long run versus the short run speed, who continues to try and save, who continues to try and burn a little bit of those right rear and right front tires. Already the pace differential, it is almost 0.6. I mean, that time it was a whole second slower from Mike Milfeld's lap. Therefore, he did have a pass that he made. But as the lap times continue to grow, as these tires continue to wear, we will see just that. Scott Patton, you continue to see he's trying to push and shove out here. gain every 10th of a second that he can. As you saw him just smack the outside wall coming out of 2. There we go, this time coming out of 4. Heath Smith all over that rear bumper. As you see Tim Blankenbeckler join this battle. Got 6/10 of a second as well. Let's hop on board here with Heath Smith as he tries to make this pass happen. Well, he did try to make the pass happen, and then it kind of compromised all of that corner exit speed. Heath Smith, he'll have to try to regroup and rearm. He'll close that gap out there going into number 4. He'll be side by side. Door corner is Heath Smith. Now he's clear going back into 1. Here we go at 4P, number 1. Mike Millfelt, Charlie Widener going at it. Looks like, Mike Millfelt was able to pass Scott Patton, obviously, a couple laps ago. Here comes Charlie Widener, able to close that gap for the race lead, and this is really surprising that we continue to see this much late run speed and pace for Charlie's number 95. Toyota Tundra 1, 1, 2, 3, but if you look in the top left of your screen, the whole left of your screen, showed timing scorings right now. It's the last lap by Mike Millfelt. He last ran a 30.140. Widener 30.185. 1/100th of a second faster. Heath Smith just about 10th faster from our battles for the race lead. This is brewing up to be a good one, ladies and gents. Hopefully you're all having a great time out here at Stamm Studio Network in this Midwest Elite Racing Truck Series. You're watching the Cooks Landscaping presented by NC811.org. Battles for the race lead, 0.2 of a second, 1 and 2. If we take a look at the last lap history between 1 and 2, I think that shows a little bit of a bigger picture. Look at 64, look at 65. You see 1/10 of a second gained on both of those laps, but then it's a loss of time on lap 66 and lap 67, but not necessarily the loss of as much of time. You could probably start to add it up there. It gets up to about a 1/10 of a second loss. But these drivers are continuing to send it through the corners. Are you trying to save a little bit of a tire going out here within this last tire stand or last fuel stops are also at about 55 laps. Lap 55 in the race, there. So that will also, we saw drivers coming within that first stage right before that Fresh for Pet stage caution. We saw drivers have to make their way on pit lane. Remember, we actually saw the stage winner out there getting turned, which was Charlie Widener after winning the stage, getting, I thought it was turned off of turn 4. That might be. There's a lot going out here in time and scorings, but that's what it's showing me out there. And Charlie Widener, he's continuing to close that gap. As I mentioned it, here comes the phone is ringing right now for pit stop strategy, and Heath Smith had to answer it first. He is the first driver down in the pit lane, running in 5th position. He'll drop back 1, 2, 3, probably back down to 11th or 12th position, but he will have enough fuel to finish this race, as well as the newest set of tires for the time being. But I think the race-winning strategy, ladies and gentlemen, is actually to stay out as long as you possibly can, at least as far as the Delta is concerned. As long as you aren't compromising too much lap time with these older Goodyear Racing Eagles is concerned out there. I think that is a great strategy to try to be one of the drivers last on pit lane, to where you have the newest amount of Goodyear rubber underneath you coming within these last 21 laps to go. Basically, new tires equals better grip, and that's exactly what that's exactly the yins and yangs. That's exactly what we could kind of see the opposite strategy of Scott Patton out there. Unfortunately, though, for Scott Patton, he's still on pit lane. This is a 10, 11, 12. Okay, so that is a 4-tire pit stop going out there for Scott Patton's number 46. So he'll fall back at least 1 lap down right now, but as things should cycle back down and around, we have Mike Millfelt still continuing to lead, looking for redemption after 1 week ago. Mike Millfelt comes into the race 6th within the point standings. He's got about a 0.6 of a second gap over our point standings leader coming into this race weekend, Charlie Widener. Charlie, whoa, hang on to it. Frank Ranger Jr., that was almost contact with the race leader. Looks like he is going to get himself by is Mike Blofeld, but that allows, I mean, look at Charlie White. That was about, what was that, 5 to 6 tenths of a second battles between our two front runners, and now it's just 2 tenths going into turn 1. Trying to look for that race replay. Man, I don't think Tommy and Scoring's got it. Oh, there goes Frank Ranger. Frank Ranger Jr. is struggling for grip right now as he continues to bang up and down that outside wall. And now that we have the 17 indoor camera shot, hey, if you're looking for any T-shirts or creative concepts, I'm talking race racing plaques, T-shirts, trophies, koozies, you name it. You can hit up Frank Ranger Jr. out there in the Facebook lands. I'm sure he would appreciate it. Make sure you let him know we sent you. And as we continue to see Frank Ranger Jr. go at least 1 lap down, I think that's 2 laps down now for Frank Ranger Jr. As now Mike Melfeld and Charlie Widener make their way on by. This is the money stop right now with only 17 laps to go. Hopping on board with Mike Melfeld as he is down and into pit lane. Don't speed. Okay, he's checked that box off. Well, excuse me, I guess you can erase that check because it is a long way down in pit lane. It is an awkward pit lane as well as it just keeps kind of continue to just swerve kind of to the left, at least within the pit racing entry. Michael Milfeld is in. We should see Charlie Widener as well as Tim Blankenbeckler, Stoney Benfield in possibly next lap by. He'll drop back. Mike Milfeld will drop back into about 5th, if not 6th running position. But as we saw from one of our front-running drivers who made their stop earlier on in the race, Scott Patton already works his way back and up into 9th position as here comes Charlie Widener in this time by. Keep an eye on these drivers who are later in on this pit stop strategy as they will have the newer racing tires. I'm going to have to take that back. I say that all right now, but with only 15 laps to go, I think right now it's the track position that matters more than tires, because only 15 laps, that is not a lot of laps for tires to make all that bit of a difference. On board here with Charlie Widener, he's going to take at least right side tires. Will Charlie take left sides? We'll have to see. No, man, well, okay, that could be the race running strategy. I'm not going to say no here just yet. As Stoney Benfield, the man, the myth, the legend who would sponsor this race, who has been our pole sitter, is also in. Stoney Benfield into the pits. Right side tires going up. Will we see left side tires as well? Nah, okay. Now, maybe these drivers possibly know something that we don't. So as we see right now, Tim Blankenbeckler, well, he heads down into pit lane and throwing it back to last week as we also throw it back to a few great paint schemes on this wonderful race weekend. Out here at the Cooks Landscaping 125 presented by NC811.org. We saw some drivers trying to make some strategy calls happen last week, and I'm talking Daniel Higgins. He was 1 lap away from possibly, trapping the whole field 1 lap down. And now with unfortunately just 13 laps to go, it looks like Heath Smith has now surpassed Scott Patton on the racetrack, and this will be what will be our ultimate battle for the race lead off pit lane. Tim Blankenbeckler still is in. Tim Blankenbeckler, there he now gets past, as well as Craig Schmidt now gets past on in the racetrack. Heath Smith conquers his way, cycles his way, that's the word I'm looking for, to the race lead. Oregon Ducks quacking, flying it out there, looking good, surpassing Scott Patton, who has led the most amount of laps. I was talking about all good about Scott Patton's 5,000 oval I rating. Let's talk about Heath Smith's 6,600 oval I rating. Remember, these drivers, 40% race fuel, only 4 tire sets available, and 1 fast repair given. Heath Smith has used that fast repair earlier on in the race and used possibly, if not 3 out of the 4 of his tire sets, I would imagine. Oh, he's going to get a little friendly with that outside wall, is Heath, but continue to rock and roll, leading laps with only 12 laps to go. This Cooks Landscaping 125 presented by NC811.org. Call 811 before you dig nationwide. Heath Smith, Scott Patton, Mike Milfeld 1, 2, 3. This is the battles that you see on your screen right now, separated between 0.2 of a second, between 1, 2, and 3. Scott Patton, he is the meat in the sandwich as Mike Millfeld is on that throttle pedal even quicker than the 46 is out there on turn number 2. On across that Boeing backstretch, Mike Millfeld looks down the inside. Scott Patton, he gets tight out there through 3 and 4. Here comes Mike Millfeld. Gonna try to squeeze it. No, not quite clear. Continuing to run side by side. Heath Smith leading with 10 laps to go. Mike Millfeld looking down the inside, still trying to make that pass happen. Now he makes the pass happen. The driver who has put down the most positions, 15 position gains since the drop of the original green. Mike Millfeld, he still has company on the outside though. Now he's going to try to clear Scott Patton going out in the exit of 4. Also Craig Schmidt, nice run for him, running 7th position, 11 spots gained since the drop of the green there. Let's hop on board with Mike Millfeld as he closes that gap on that Oregon Duck. Quack, quack, quack. Number 2, Toyota Tundra machine. This time out of turn number 2, here comes Mike Millfeld with only 9 laps to go. These drivers are good to go on the fuel and tire strategy goes. Mike Millfeld, newer tires by 6 laps. He's going to make that pass look relatively easy on Heath Smith after Heath pitted on lap 70. Mike Millfeld last pitted on lap 76. Ladies and gentlemen, that's exactly what I mentioned. That's exactly what you want to do. You want to be one of these last drivers coming down the pit lane on that money stop about, call it 10 to 15 laps ago. Mike Millfeld, newest tires underneath of him, door quarter clear for the race lead, but now the battle starts to heat up in Zoo between Scott Patton and Charlie Wider. It's going to get tight out there on turn number 4. They'll run door to door, this time going through 1. It's the 95 versus 46. Throwback action up top. There's Charlie Wider doing everything he can to make that goal, the trickle paint scheme proud. 46, he's going to have to give the point by there for Charlie Wider, the point series lead, the point standings leader coming into the race. Bobby Blair P2, not on the racetrack tonight. Josh Murphy P3, unfortunately. Josh Murphy shown P15, 3 laps down. Jensen Case P4 in the point standings, and Stony Midfield runs P5, but it's Mike Millfeld trying to run away with the show with only 6 laps to go, who runs P6 in those point standings. 1.3 times 6, that's how many miles left to go, but will we get there before a yellow? Here comes Charlie Wider, looks like he's gonna get Charlie Wider's going to be the IHOP sponsor on that Stamm Studio Network truck as he pancaked the outside wall out of 4. That allowed Scott Patton to work his way right and on by. Here's a quick race look at it. My God, that what could have and what possibly would have been a caution. These drivers keeping it all clean, green, and mean. Scott Patton back up to P2 after he's trying to get back up to Mike Millfeld's back bumper, but with 2.5 seconds separating P1, P2, I don't think there's enough time for Scott Patton. Scott's focusing more on points now as he has the 95 of Charlie Wider, the Appalachian Mountaineers Toyota Tundra paint scheme, almost quarter clear to the inside, but not quite. Here comes the slipstream. Here comes the draft for Wider. Remember, these drivers right now have pushed it. They have shoved it within these last 13 to 14 laps. Their tires right now are begging for grip, begging for mercy. You see 2 guys going at it there, Scott Patton, Charlie, as well as the 27 on Michael Ritz, and that number 2 showing the number 1 of Heath Smith. 4 laps to go, side by side, door to door between Scott Patton and Charlie Wider, door to door. Now it's clear, back and clear between Scott Patton going into turn number 1. 3.2 seconds up for Mike Millfeld. Mike Millfeld was looking for redemption after last week. A win ultimately stolen away race away from him. That's Schmidt Esports Iowa 70 out there, also live on Stamm Studio Network. Mike Millfeld is just begging for no cautions as we see another nice pass from Charlie Wider, door quarter clear, going into out of 2, and kind of made it happen, solidified through 3 and 4. Scott Patton now just 0.4 of a second back. 2 laps to go in this race. Scott Patton's going to start to lose a little bit of grip within that number 46, as here comes Kyle Ricketts in the 09, trying to get back up to the race leader, which would be Micah Melfeldt, who is heading into 3 and 4, with which would be the second to final time tonight. 1 lap to go in the Cooks Landscaping 125, presented by NC811.org. The Stamm Studio Network Truck Series race live with the Lady in Black. It's looking like it all belongs to Mike Melfeldt. Through turns 1, through turns 2, keeping his foot on that throttle pedal. It's no gas game. It's no tire game. Mike Melfeldt has worked this strategy to a T tonight. He'll conquer the Lady in Black, the 155 Federated Auto Parts Machine. Mike Melfeldt, the victory lane. Congratulations, Mike, on the victory. Charlie Wider running P2. Here comes Scott Patton P3. Heath Smith across the line. He'll conquer P4. Tim Blankenbecker looking at it out there. Close battles with him and Stoney Benfield. Stoney Benfield, the man who came on board and sponsored the race tonight. Contact earlier on him. Pole sitter will finish out here P6. Right there behind Tim Blankenbeckler for P5. Neil Lapidus will finish P7, 1 lap down. Craig Schmidt, Daniel Higgins, and Nate Mendoza. TJ Zachary, Kyle Ricketts, Michael Ritz, Tyler Price, Josh Murphy, and Frank Ranger Jr., Zach Monday, and Ricardo Cano rounding out our 18-driver grid. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it and let's crank it up for the driver of Mike Melfeldt down there, victory lane. Congratulations to Mike Melfeldt on the race win, as we will chat with our top 3 drivers here in just a few moments' time. Charlie Winder, Scott Patton, that runs 2-3. We'll be chatting with all of them, as well as we'll be checking in on those unofficial official race results. Speaking of which, coming in now. Congratulations on those top 3, as 4th through 18th. Heath Smith, Tim Blankenbeckler, Stoney Benfield, Neil Lapidus, Craig Schmidt, Daniel Higgins, and Nate Mendoza. Rounding out the top 10, TJ Zachary, Kyle Ricketts, Michael Ritz, Tyler Price, Josh Murphy, Frank Ranger Jr., Zach Monday, and Ricardo Cano rounding out the top 18. Well, as I make my way into the virtual victory lane, I think we're going to save the best for last. We'll start here with P2. Charlie, you got yourself a copy, man.
I got you.
Hey, Charlie, you finished out near P2 tonight. Nice run here for you. You should be able to keep that points standings lead out there going into next week. How did the number 95 feel out here in the Lady in Black, the track too tough to tame?
The truck's a little sketchy. After getting turned by the lap car there and had to use my quick fix, I was being a little extra cautious on exits of turns and stuff to make sure I kept the front bumper on it. But I was able to keep it clean there at the end, and Highline Racing got a 1 through 4 finish. That was pretty cool.
Golly, that's what it's all about right there. 1 through 4. Congratulations to y'all. And man, oh man, Charlie, it's you took the words out of my mouth. I was gonna mention that here a little bit, since what was going through your minds when it happened, as well as, I mean, you know that you have the faster pair, but did you know that you'd have the pace to ultimately do what you did tonight, finish back up here in P2?
Well, what helped me was staying on the lead lap at the stage. I basically had to clutch it the whole last lap to make it, but I made it. I ran out of gas right when I got in my pit stall, so it kind of helped. If I had to go a lap down due to that, it would have been a little more difficult. But staying on the lead lap there helped me keep track position, and that's all. And then you're just avoiding the lap down cars and the guys with older tires and stuff. So once I got through them, I knew I had the pace for a top 5. I just didn't know how it was going to shake up there at the end. All 4 of us within half a second of each other at one point, and it was getting a little crazy.
Golly, man, it was, Charlie, and we're glad to see you back up here in top 3 victory lane. Top 3 podium finish. Is there anybody you'd like to kind of thank or shout out here tonight in this top 3?
Yeah, my teammates up here in the booth with me, Mike and Scott, and Heath, who finished 4th. Heath did a really good job. He got some damage, never even took the quick fix, and still finished 4th here. And Scott for the paint on the truck. Truck looks great. And yeah, you got. I really enjoy going back and watching the broadcast, and you do a great job. So, and Nick for putting on this league. It's a fun league to race on Saturday nights, and yeah, let's go see how next week goes.
Thank you so much, Charlie. It's comments like that really keep me going back in here behind the scenes, as well as I'm sure Nick really appreciates that as well. So thank you out here. I can't thank you enough for putting on a show for the race fans to watch out here race weekend after race weekend, and hopefully we're chatting with you next week here, Charlie. Congrats on another top 3 finish, man.
All right, thank you.
All righty, we're gonna go 2, 3, and then back to 1 here. So yeah, got Scott Patton up here, P3. You got some copy, Scott?
Hey, what's going on?
Scott, man, what a race out here for you. Led, I believe, more than 50 laps in the Stone River Outfitters throwback paint scheme. Man, how is that Chevrolet out here feeling underneath your hands and feet?
It was loose for sure, a handful, especially on those old tires. We had to forego a pit stop of tires. I think it was the first yellow before the stage break. So doing that long run of 30 or so laps on an old set was like ice up here on New Hampshire. The roads are still icy, and I felt like we were still on ice down there in Darlington. So it was a handful.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's a great way to put it in perspective. And another kind of, well, as we see it out here, the replay, this is perfectly timed for it. Man, Scott, congratulations, first of all, on your Fetch for Pet stage win. We see that you're being OP3 tonight, but man, what was going through your mind? What kind of happened out there off turn 4?
Which time? Which one are we looking at? The stage one?
Yeah, I believe when you're coming to the stage break here, and I mean, you were obviously clutching it in that, 1 to 2 laps before even the end of the stage. Were you running, I mean, it seemed like you were running low on fuel as well.
Yeah, certainly. We were clutching it there to make it to the stage, so we were able to make it. And then I saw our teammate Mike there, who won the race. I saw him coming up about a second behind me, and I was trying to do the old school for the throwback paint, doing the old school race back to the yellow. So clutching a little bit more off turn 4 to maybe give him a chance to get his lap back, and then drop down low lane to give him the high lane. And I think it was the lapper there that was just confused as to what I was doing. So not his fault really at all. Like I take the blame if anything for being that far off pace, but that was our plan, and I'm glad it worked out for Mike in the end, for sure, for the race win.
Well, hey, Scott, we really appreciate you kind of giving us the inside look like that. And I've always thought about that when I'm watching the real-life races on Saturday and Sunday, and sometimes Friday nights up there in the Truck Series. And man, Scott, I think that'll solidify that one I got. But as far as for your solidification, is there anybody you'd like to solidify on a podium finish shout-outs out here for number 46?
Yeah, like Charlie said, it was an awesome night for our team here at Highline Racing with me, Charlie, Mike with the checkers, and Heath back there. Don't forget about him picking up the P4 spot too. So top 4 sweep for us, and like you said, Stone River Outfitters on our truck, as well as the New England Racing Museum up here on the property of New Hampshire Motor Speedway, preserving racing history in New England. So come check it out if you're in the area, and it's a good chance to see Dr. Dick Berggren. If it's the warm months up here, he'll probably be hanging around the museum too. So appreciate you guys' all help with the broadcast too. Looking forward to watching that tomorrow.
Hey, we appreciate you, Scott, for putting on the show out here for race fans. Have a great rest of your race weekend, and hopefully we're chatting with you next week.
All right, you too. Appreciate it.
All righty, ladies and gents, that leaves the man, the myth, the legend, Mike Milfelt. You got yourself a copy, man.
Yes, sir.
Well, Mike, how about you come away with the race win after gaining 16 positions? Just the drop of the green flag, obviously, what could have been back-to-back wins out here for you. But hey, we'll chat about here tonight. Obviously, 155 on rails. How did it feel back behind the wheel there for you throughout the turns?
It felt pretty good. All of us, Heath, Charlie, and Scott, we were all pretty quick. I don't know. Scott was doing some strategy stuff that was crazy. Thank goodness, because I didn't have to race him heads up. He saved a set of tires in the pits, so if a yellow would have come out, he would have definitely won.
man, the strategy calls out here tonight, they're pretty wild out here from Darlington. Obviously, I mean, tires, you would think would be the name of the game, but really with the 40% fuel, it seemed like that became the name of the game with the stage break as well. What was your strategy like looking for you like here tonight, Mike?
Well, Scott put me a lap down at the first stage, so I had to take the lucky dog and get back on the lead lap. It was fun. It was genuinely, I love this track. Everybody was patient tonight. It wasn't caution filled. It was a good race. I really enjoyed it. Thank Neil for the league and all the admins. Thank you guys for the broadcast and Stamm Studios Victory Lane. And thank all my teammates. Appreciate it.
Well, Mike, as I've mentioned, within the last few two drivers, and I gotta say it to every driver, thank you for putting on the show out there for us. But in all seriousness, out there with you especially out there, man. Ever since the start of this season, man, 155, you've been fast, you've been on rails, and we're continuing to see you work your way up to the point standing as well. It'll be interesting to see where you're officially at the point standings after this race weekend, man.
Yeah, I don't look at that a whole lot. I just like getting out here. Yeah, I just like getting out here and racing with everybody, having fun. Sometimes where you finish doesn't really matter. Like last week, it was just fun.
You know, that just opened a whole door on my end of mental states out there after some league races or even, official races, you name it. But, man, I appreciate you, Mike, out there for kind of giving us a behind-the-scenes look at how you're going into the next race as well. Is there anybody you'd like to kind of thank or shout out here for your win tonight at Darlington, man?
Yeah, thank all the teammates, Charlie, Heath, and Scott, Neil, you guys. That's pretty much it. Thanks, Scott, for the patented paints. I think that's it.
Well, Mike, we really appreciate you, man. Thank you so much out here once again for putting on the show for the fans to watch. Congrats on your race win, 16 spots gained. We'll hopefully be chatting with you next race weekend. Have a great rest of your week, and until then, Mike.
Thanks, you too.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to pretty much out here do it for the old Stamm Studio Network. Sean Stamm producing, directing, commentating. Mike Milfield taking away the checkered flag. Thank you all so much. And before you go, do we have anybody in YouTube land? Ricardo Cano joined us in YouTube. So does Matt Langley. So does Neil, as well as Get Some Ted and Terry. Thank you all so much from the bottom of my heart. It's Midwest Elite Racing Stamm Studio Network Truck Series. Until next time, thanks for liking, commenting, and sharing this video.